Hello everyone, I am Rainbow Does Stuff, and today here we're going to be giving everyone a first look into my new Gary's Mod add-on that me and my friends are making, XTwisters 3. So here we have the spawn menu, and something you'll notice as a initial new feature from XTwisters 2 is we will now have pop-open menus that will give us a list of items to choose from. Currently, since we are in the beta version of the mod and there isn't quite a lot to go on, we only have a few tabs here. As the mod progresses and we get more progress in here, there's going to be more tabs, and eventually it's going to start to look a little bit more full. Now, something that you probably noticed, first off, some of these don't have icons. That is only a temporary thing. We are very early on in the add-on's development. Now, first of all, let me introduce you to some of the new features in XTwisters 3. Oops. Here, when we open the console, we can see who made this particle. This is by Tempest. You can see because it has TRT, and that stands for Rolling Tempest. And we can see that it has a 3-second wind gust of 227 miles per hour. And the vortex is 430 hammer units in width. The tornado is also 281 yards wide. These are some mostly nerd jumble, but I can explain it to you just for the sake of this video and potentially helping people along. The Winfield Falloff is the division value in the Winfield's multiplier. So essentially, 0.76 would give a higher Winfield radius than 1, for example. 1 would be your default normal vortex Winfield Falloff, and 0.55 is the lowest I allow it to go. So you can get some variation in tornadic windfield size. Swirl ratio, it seems initially complex to those who aren't aware of what it means, but swirl ratio is essentially the tangential wind speeds divided by the radial ones. For the record, tangential means essentially horizontal relative to, let's say, a point. So if you were to look straight forward around, let's say, this barrel here, this would be tangential. And radial is forward and back, straight inwards toward the barrel. So as we can see, this tornado is a 1.5 swirl ratio vortex, which means while it is still tangentially dominant, there is still a lot of radial winds, and that equates to vertical ones as well. Something also about XTwisters 3, we have vastly upped our standards in particle quality and quality control and assurance overall. No longer are the days where you'll see tornadoes that don't really seem to fit in the category that they are in. No longer are the days where you'll get tornadoes that just overall don't look as good as the others. We have kept a consistent and very admittedly harsh entry bar, but it overall has improved the quality in XTwisters 3 and makes everything visually better. Currently set for release, there will be 3 particles per tornado category. Hopefully, by the end of development cycle, we can hope that we'll see more vortexes that are not just tornadoes, such as waterspouts, dust devils, things that aren't planet Earth based in general. Maybe we'll return to formula and add some very particularly, well, strange tornadoes like the Neptune tornado seen in XTwisters 1. Currently, there is only a special little guy in Weather and Phenomena. Ball lightning. This one is a personal favorite. We'll leave the tornadoes for the last end of the video. In case you're curious about that, I'd suggest just skipping to the end. I'll put a timestamp on the screen so you can see where to go if you want to just see the tornadoes. Here we are in the Construct Darkroom. Naturally, we're playing on GM Construct Flatgrass, so there's this little area that's rather extended compared to the normal one. Ball lightning is really interesting since it's basically a very exotic form of lightning that, well, rudimentarily scientifically confirmed, as far as I understand it. Admittedly, I could be wrong. It's never really seen in the real world. In XTwisters 3, you can experience it for yourself. But be careful. Get too close, well, let's have Father Gregory show you what could happen. As you can see, he's not really having a good time. Admittedly, he got out pretty lucky. But luck isn't everything here. Oh geez. Here we are above ground now. Mainly because I just wanted to show off one of the little sweeps that you could encounter on release day of XTwisters 3. Here we have the lightning gun. Now, unfortunately, we're so early into the development cycle that we don't actually have lightning done yet, which is what one of the alternate buttons for the sweep will summon. But for now, we can show you this. Pretty cool, right? Alright, let's get into the features that you will see in XTwisters 3 revolving around the tornado mechanics. Here, I'm going to use Astral's tornado particle, which is one of my favorite currently in the mod, to demonstrate the mechanics and features you will see with the tornadoes. This is his particle name. Astral XTwisters 3 _ Tor1. You can see it spawned with a 3-second gust of 183 miles an hour and has a vortex size of 700. It's 333 yards wide and has a 0.87 wind field falloff with a 2.44 swirl ratio, which I earlier discussed, showing here. Now, this is one of my favorite tornadoes because it has a fully made life cycle and a very neat multi-vortex phase. It's rather reminiscent of a familiar tornado you may recognize, KD Wynnywood from 2016. If you notice any issues with the movement system, please keep in mind I'm still refining it. As you can see and hear, the tornado is rapidly strengthening. A key mechanic in XTwisters 3 is the vortex size is built around the particles, so 100% of the time the wind field will be accurate to the particle that you see. No longer are the days where you'll see a large, let's say EF0, and then the wind field doesn't accompany it. Here, let's get a dupe and show off the destruction mechanics. Alright, as you can see, I now have a duplication equipped. So first of all, let's go over this real quick. There isn't many client settings here, as you can see, but that's just because we're early on in the dev cycle. Eventually, we will have more settings and customizability for you and for anyone else who might want to be in your server and play around with the mod. Currently, we also have a few base settings. XTwisters 3's general options that you may be familiar with in XTwisters 2. We have the spawn tornado lifetime, which currently we just have it go from 5 seconds to 1,000. There's no real set limit currently. This is all just placeholder numbers. We also have spawn tornado speed. This doesn't actually equate to any real-life measurements, but you can make them rather absurd if that's what you really wish to happen. For now, we're just going to be demonstrating the mod on a speed of 5. XTwisters 3 also has a very vast simulation configurability. Here we have anti-lag. Currently, its features persist only in this. You can change the tornado's update time, which allows for higher frames at the cost of wind field consistency and damage. For the highest quality you experience, you usually want to keep it below 0.3. Anti-lag type 1 shortens the wind field to only scan for parts in the available radius of greater than 30 miles an hour. Anti-lag type 2 only scans if they're in tornadic winds of greater than 65 miles an hour. NPCs, vehicles, and players are not affected by anti-lag and the update time, so do keep this in mind in case you are intending to have a server and or intend to just play with a friend. Here, we have some very few select options that allow you to configure the experience to the best possible one for you and anyone else you might be playing with. Here we have wind unwelched props. This means anything that is frozen will have its parts constrained to it, unwelded and broken by the tornadic winds, and eventually the weather too. Wind unweld props, regardless of its flying / dynamic, will also unweld and destroy constraints. But the caveat is that this is not exclusive to if the part is frozen or not. So if this were to be turned on, buildings that are being thrown, even if they're welded together, will be unconstrained and broken apart. Here we have wind damages props, players, and NPCs. The wind damage multiplier makes it do more or less damage depending on what you desire. I think it's rather self-explanatory what this does. Higher winds will do more HP damage to players, NPCs, and props if you have these configured. I usually like to play with wind damages props and NPCs if I have lag or any experience like that, or maybe if the map that I'm playing on likes to have very weak props. Sometimes I'll turn this off. Now this is where we get onto the more juicy and exclusive features only in XTwisters 3. Vehicle rolling ejects players and vehicle impacts kill players. Vehicle rolling ejects players is interesting because it's supposed to simulate the experience of getting sucked into a tornado and your vehicle rolling and basically being damaged to the point that you are ejected out of the window of your car. You will take damage, and your player will exit the vehicle if it rolls an extreme amount. Vehicle impacts kill players means the XTwisters 3 tornadoes will instill a type of fall damage onto your car. If you take a significant amount of impact force, the tornado will damage you accordingly. You can die instantly from a big impact. So if you have this on, it's advisable to try and avoid the high winds. You never know what could happen. Now, some of you players might recognize wind blocked by objects from XTwisters 2. This feature is pretty self-explanatory. The tornadic winds will be blocked by multiple directional traces that check if there are walls nearby the object, or just generally checks if the wind can hit it at all. If there are things blocking it to not a full degree, the wind will have less effect on it. If there are things blocking it, but potential gaps that the air could slip through in a Venturi effect, you can get wind tunnel effect, which will pull on you actually harder than if you were out of that area. Alright, I think there's enough that has been said. Let's just go on and give us a good show of what the damage is. As you can see, for the sake of showing off one of the features in XTwisters 3, known as tornadoes strengthen when spawned, I am restarting the particle just for this one time. The strength is very similar. It's actually, I think, only 1 mile an hour below. The strength is very similar. It's 1 mile an hour below the previous tornado. But the wind field fall off is quite lower, meaning this tornado has a higher wind field. Here, we can see clearly the tornado is strengthening. I'm going to spawn this dupe in front of it. You can see these very weak and poorly built homes stood no chance against the violent winds in this tornado. Look at all that debris. It's very clear this tornado is powerful and becoming much stronger. Look at how now debris is being thrown more vigorously and violently along the tornado. Here, we might experience some frame loss because of everything being slammed against the wall right now. Currently, if you recall, I have my anti-lag settings set to the very lowest they can go, meaning this is running in the highest quality the tornado system can theoretically run in. For the sake of demonstration, I've grabbed another dupe, a wooden house made by my good friend Astral, who is also a developer on the team. I'm going to spawn it right in front of the tornado's path. And hopefully the tornado will core it with the strongest winds, and we'll see how 182 miles an hour fares against a normal dupe. Just look at it tear apart that house. Unfortunately, it seems the tornado took a more deviant route and dodged the home. At the very least, we can still show off the orbiting mechanics in XTwisters 3. I opted in for a more realistic route with XTwisters 3, and I chose to use a real vortex model for simulating the wind fields in XTwisters 3. I'm currently using the Sullivan vortex model for this tornado, since this is a two-celled, mostly tangential dominant vortex. You can see the boundary layer on the tornado has a bunch of inflow that then sucks up parts into the corner flow, which then centrifuge it outwards as soon as it rises above the boundary layer, of which there is no more inflow. This is much like how tornadoes interact in real life. XTwisters 3 promises to deliver a rather convincing experience for as much as we can achieve in the source engine. Admittedly, there is going to be shortfalls. I can't do everything, unfortunately. I do wish I could, but this is kind of just how it is. The engine is older than me. I think it's fair to say that even in the best case, they're still going to be bad. Alright, I'm going to show off very little, mostly just to keep it down in wraps. And I don't want every feature being leaked, ever. But I'm going to show off a few more miscellaneous things. Keep in mind, the kill icons that you will be seeing are currently placeholders. I have enabled wind damages props and players and NPCs. For the sake of this experiment, I'm going to use an EF5 tornado. Well, quite windy sounding, is it not? That is also a new feature that you will see in XTwisters 3. Tornadoes have new wind sounds that correlate to if you're in high winds or not. Currently, the tornado roar sound is a placeholder, so do please keep that in mind. We will be changing a lot of things in the future. Most of what you see is subject to change. This is one of my particles. It's loosely based off the resemblance of More 2013 when it was in its strobit phase. Currently, this tornado will strengthen to 237 miles an hour. It's quite wide, one of the largest in the mod. Currently, at least. Here, I'm going to be displaying the kill icons now. We're going to have Father Gregory show it off again. Just look at that monster. Truly, a force of nature. We're going to spawn Father Gregory right in the front of it. Hopefully, he'll go flying into it. I say morbidly. As you can see, he's been killed by the winds, since they were too strong for him to handle. If we spawn him again, right in the same area, you'll see in the corner that it killed him, and it popped up a kill icon. Currently, again, a reminder, this is just a placeholder. It's merely using these Tornado and Whirlwind's spawn menu icon. Alright, now I'm going to show a neat little feature that I previously glanced over, the Vehicle Impacts and Rolling Ejects player feature. Let me get in this before it goes flying. Well, that was a little instant. I'll be. Currently, I'm still low. Oh, and I'm dead. Now, we're going to go over a feature. Now, we're going to go over a feature I previously glanced over in the C of our menu. We have Vehicle Rolling Ejects players and Vehicle Impacts kills players. I'm going to ride right into the heart of this monster and see if I die. I do not expect to live for long, and the death is going to be rather instant. Listen to the roar. Alright. Since that last one was rather quick, and probably because I was pinned against the wall, let's try this one again. Hopefully, we'll have a longer loft time. As you can see, death is rather instant in these monsters. Maybe in a more vertically oriented tornado, we'd live for longer, but right now these beasts are so powerful that it's rather hard to survive them. I'm already being pulled in. Oh my! Here, we'll try a Jeep on for size and see if it fares any better than the Jalopy. The Jeep is faster than the Jalopy, but it's also lighter, and it probably won't fare too well. I'm already being skirted and drifted around. Here we go. We're going straight into it. Naturally, I don't know what I was thinking was going to happen. Here, let's try the lightest vehicle in the game, the airboat. We're not going to last long. Oh, you can see I was ejected. Now, that's not good for me, since being ejected means... Honestly, in my experience, playing with friends makes this much more fun. Then again, when isn't it that case for anything? But I gotta say, the moments of hilarity that you see when you die in these things, well, I think it speaks for itself. Especially imagine seeing your vehicle flying in the tornado after that, or rather your friend in this case. It's quite interesting. Anyway, that'll be all for now. I'll be sure to update you guys more in the server of XTwisters 3 and show off more leaks as they come out and when there's stuff that I want to show. I'm going to keep some things secret, naturally, for you to experience on the day one release of XTwisters 3. Now, don't get me wrong, it's going to take a while for me to release XTwisters 3. Frankly, there's a lot to do, but I hope that you all can have some patience as I try to make this mod the best it can be. For my more advanced users that are watching this mod, I would like to say that the XTwisters 3 mod API will be rather in-depth and allow for a lot of customizability. Hopefully, it'll suit everyone's standards to the fullest. I really want this to be one of the best mods I could make for really any game. And I think while there is some prowess to that, I think in the end, we can only wait and see. I hope you all enjoy XTwisters 3 when it releases. I know I enjoyed making it. See you all on the flip side.